Dina Berrin, welcome to the Great Seeking and Awakening podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Mark.
When I first came across you and your profile, I was like, okay, she has the right kind of positive energy, and something was just calling me to have a conversation with you. And we had an initial conversation, and we decided, hey, let's do a podcast interview freestyle and see what comes out.
Yes, I love it. That's great. I really enjoyed talking with you before, and I'm super excited to jump into it now.
So, share with us, Dina, a little bit about your background, your areas of specialization, and what you actually love to do.
I am a certified life coach, but I am also a tarot reader. I am a charm reader. I do numerology, astrology, palmistry. I work with crystals. I am a lover of all things divination. And what I do is I've taken my coaching and I've woven it together with the practices of divination that I work with to be what I call like an intuitive guide to helping people live their most authentic and best lives.
When did you start realizing that, I have these skills and I want to explore and develop them? Tell us how this kind of all started to come to the surface for you.
How it all bubbled up. Well, I started at a very young age because I had a grandmother who was interested in astrology, and she would talk about people as if they were their astrological sign. So she would say, well, there's some Scorpio energy showing up there if somebody was being like really stubborn, or like, well, why don't they just let their Leo shine kind of thing if somebody was maybe hogging the spotlight a little bit. Like, so I was walking around like with a metaphorical clipboard taking notes, and my grandmother would say things and I'm like, well, what did you mean by that? Or what, how does that show up in people? How did you see that? I was just always very curious. So I feel like curiosity has been the main trait that I have taken with me my entire life. So my grandmother introduced me to astrology in an unusual way when I was younger. And then I went on with my life and I went to college. And after I graduated from college, I came back to New York, which where I'm living now. And I was working in fitness. I have a degree in exercise physiology. And in fitness, maybe you're familiar that people go to the gym in the morning, at lunch, and after work. And
Mhm.
therefore, I was there in the morning, at lunch, and after work. I felt like I worked all the time. And I noticed that when people would leave work at a decent hour, it was because they were going to take a class. Classes seemed like
Mm.
a good reason to leave work. And I felt like that was my indication I needed to find a class or I was just going to never see the light of day again. So one night when I was leaving work, I found a flyer advertising an introduction to tarot class. And I thought to myself, there's my class. And that is what began a lifelong love and a continued, passionate connection with tarot, which also then led me to numerology and a reconnection with astrology. And then I worked with symbols, which led me to my charms. And I started talking at conferences, which led me to being connected with a really awesome palmistry instructor. So I decided to learn palmistry. So I feel as though one thing kind of led to another from there. And I consider myself a lifelong student. I am endlessly curious about what is happening underneath the quote unquote hood of the car. So talking about like people, I want to know like what makes them tick. And I feel as though my curiosity and my interest in all of these divination tools has led me down this path, which feels as though it isn't really wasn't even a choice. It was a calling. It was like I couldn't not do this. And I'm sure that you can relate. We've all had things like that in our lives that are just like I can't not do this. It has
Yeah,
become like my oxygen, so to speak.
you were built for this. So you're playing in the magical and mystical realms, which you're excited about because as you've uncovered and discovered different modalities and stacking them on top of each other, then everything makes more sense on the modalities that are not connected or related, and you're able to connect those dots.
Yes. And it's all about honestly connecting with our intuition.
Hmm.
Because people think that intuition is this like supernatural or mystical thing, but in many ways, it's actually very natural. This is just pattern recognition. This is just happening faster in our lives than it is with conscious thought. So I just feel as though what intuition really is noticing the patterns that are showing up in our lives and then maybe giving some meaning or foundation underneath them to help us guiding towards making better decisions.
Yeah, I concur. I think I define intuition as a clear wireless connection to source. And if you can remove the distortions or the programming or the codex that was imposed on top of that pure wireless connection, your signal is more clear and you're able to have more perception on capital T truth and capital R reality.
Yeah, I relate to that very much. I mean, we're always gathering information, whether we realize it or not. And I feel
Yeah.
like the intuition is just kind of like that radar, going up and saying, I'm going to
Hmm.
start noticing it.
And listening to your body also giving you those sensations that mean something and interpreting that correctly to be able to be more tapped in. Let's shift gears a little bit, and we had talked about different ideas of what we could focus on or discuss,
Yeah.
and I really liked the mirrors topic. So spiritual tools as mirrors, not predictions. Go into a little bit of that thought and explanation to add some clarity to what does that mean when you're working with these modalities and working with people that are coming to you for assistance.
Right. And so I feel as though that is one of the biggest misunderstandings with any of these modalities, because I look at tarot, astrology, numerology, I look at them as tools. And these tools are not about predicting the future. They're more of a mirror. They are showing us who we are and how we are showing up in our actions, in our reactions, in each of the moments of our lives. So what this is really doing is it's shining a light on what I call like our inner landscape, so to speak. And it's rather than predicting, it's more of an awareness. So yes, they're acting as mirrors and they are reflecting the energy, the patterns, and the questions that maybe somebody is already asking in their lives, but it's also directing them towards some internal answers.
Kind of like clarifying or purifying the underlying messaging or reality that somebody can't maybe decipher on their own. You're helping to break that code and provide clarity in the modalities that you use.
Right. And if people are, if you are willing to kind of get on for the ride and just be open to the messaging that is coming in, because I do believe that we are taught to rely on logic like in the
Hmm.
world. Like people always want to know, well, it's kind of like show me the math, like how did you get the answer to
Yeah.
this, so to speak. And a lot of times when we need to make a decision, we can go into what I call analysis paralysis. We start thinking of, we get out the piece of paper, we put a line down the center, we write positives and negatives and like reasons why I should, reasons why I shouldn't, kind of thing. And I feel as though, how about if we just stop for 1 second and asked, yourself, how do I feel about this?
Hmm.
And like, and so how does that show up? And sometimes what happens is like, I feel like there's two ways for you to read energy. And I feel as though anxiety shows up as fear. Like, oh my gosh, I want to make the right decision. Is this the right decision? And then like, I feel like it kind of like picks up speed and it's kind of like, like a little pinball bouncing around our head. And whereas intuition feels more relaxed, it feels more in flow with just our everyday, like so if you were to make a decision about something, like are you excited to do, X, whatever it is that you're planning to do? Instead of being like, well, should I go? Should I not go? Should I do this? Should I not do this? Don't ask anybody else. Just turn inward and think about, how do I feel about this thing happening? Is it
Yeah,
exciting? Like, and then you go from there. So I feel that we are not looking for answers. Sometimes I'm just looking for patterns and images to kind of give us a feeling of a direction we're going.
I agree 100%. Pattern recognition is the game, and the counterintuitiveness of these things too, right? So resisting the urge to react and absorbing the information and the reality to be able to then respond. All of these things are very counterintuitive. So if you feel like doing A, actually have to do the opposite. Kind of like a little riddle of life.
It is a riddle, and I do believe that intuition, like anything else, is like a muscle that like
Mm-hmm.
you need to develop. So I always say, like if I know that, just to use it as an example, like a lot of people join the gym in January, New Year's resolutions. It's going to be, I'm getting off to a new start. I'm going to exercise, and then a lot of times by mid-January, they've kind of petered off, and the gym attendance has sunk to a new low,
Yeah.
or the old low of whatever it was. And but I feel that if you want to build a relationship with your intuition, just like going to the gym, you need to be consistent. You need to keep showing up, and you need to keep doing the work. Otherwise, like, it's hard to have success at something that you've only done once. And just like, if you want to be a better cook, if you want to be a better writer, if whatever it is you want to be better at, you have to keep doing that thing. So, well, just to kind of go back to what we were starting with, with people, like, these are mirrors. They're not as predictions. I feel as though if you want to start using it as a mirror, you need to start being consistent in this usage of it.
Practice, awareness, developing the skill set.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's easy, but I feel as though if you want to do this work, one thing that's great is, like, find whatever way works for you to do this. I mean, I like to say that one of the best ways to decide how you want to do this is just start paying attention, paying attention to where your interests lie. Like, for example, like, some people are really interested in journaling and writing down how they
Mm-hmm.
feel. That's a great way to start. Some people are meditators. I mean, I know that there's a lot of monkey mind out there, so not everybody feels comfortable just sitting still and just pondering life. But how about going for a walk in nature? How about, spending a little bit of time, just with the water, or, digging in the earth, gardening is another way to do it. There's just a lot of different ways for you to connect with yourself. And not to point fingers, but I do feel as though walking around New York City, I see a lot of people with their faces face down in their phone. And I mean, I've seen a lot of people with one of those orthopedic boots on because they've fallen off the curb because they haven't been paying attention to where they're walking. And I feel as though the best way, like, if people are looking to make a connection and develop the intuition, is just to begin to start paying attention and start being present.
I think that summarizes the name of the game in this reality is developing that clear signal of your intuition. 100%.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Dina, that you would like to share your wisdom or your knowledge with before we shift gear? And I've got a special little surprise to kind of finish off our podcast interview here.
Sure. Well, I feel the message that I want to relay is that real awakening begins when we start paying attention to our lives. And that's the patterns, that's the symbols, that's the feelings. So when we slow down long enough to notice them, we start living more consciously. So I invite you to slow down and live more consciously.
That is so awesome, Dina. I love it. Love it. Love it. There's another initiative that we are working on called the Better Human podcast. It's a call-in show where people record their answers. It's 5 questions. It's called the Q5 Better Human podcast. Here, question number 1, who am I?
Who am I? Meaning, who am I?
Yes. I, I,
I am a curious, inquisitive, forever student who is interested in not only furthering myself and expanding and growing, but also being a bringer of light for people that maybe don't know the way yet. I am happy to shine a light and show them a way forward so they can find their most authentic self and live a life that feels fulfilled and connected to who they are.
Beautiful. The term earth angel came to mind when you
I
said
love that.
that.
I'll take it.
Question number 2, what is the purpose of this game called life?
For me, life is an adventure. And I am the type of person that always wants to leap, that always wants to say yes. I feel that the purpose of this adventure we call life is about growth. It's about learning how to be better, how to make the world a better place, how to be a better person, how to show up and have compassion and offer love and support and share wisdom with people. I feel like this life is about just living in your light and knowing that every single thing that happens are lessons in learning that make you a stronger and better person.
Great answer. Question number 3, what brings me the most joy?
The first thing that comes to mind was learning. I love to learn. I love to read. I love to take a class. Like I'm always either taking a class or reading a book. What brings me joy is the excitement of things that are new and unknown to me. But I also do very much love spending time with my family, my dog, and I am a huge exerciser, so I love to just be in action and just living a full and engaged life.
Experience it all.
Yeah.
Question number 4, what is my message to the world? So if you could telepathically send a message to everyone in the world, what would that telepathic message be?
That I believe in you, and that even though things may be hard and uncertain and shaky now or at a future or previous time, just keep putting one foot in front of the other and know that you have so much strength and energy behind you. You can do it.
Great answer. Love it, love it, love it. Question number 5, how do I want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a light. I want to be remembered as somebody who raised people's positivity and shine light in areas that maybe were not so known, and giving people a new perspective on what's possible for them. I feel as though my gift is that I see who people are. And I think that sometimes people have buried who they are underneath, the title of wife, of mother, of sister, of or employee, or whatever it is title you have. And my gift is to move that away so I can see your heart. So what my gift is, and I want to be remembered for the ability to see people for their truth, for their gifts, for just all the beauty that they are, not for what they can do, but for who they are in the world.
And there is a bonus question that's a little bit tougher. I will pose it, and then you could try to answer it if you want. The bonus question is, How would I describe this realm and the structure of reality?
That is a tough question.
And to be
The
fair, for the listeners, to be fair to Dina, these questions are meant to be known ahead of time when people are going to call in. So Dina had no idea what I was going to
I
ask
got no
her.
heads up. Um, so, I mean, this realm is, it's a very complicated place. I feel as though there are many levels and ways of experiencing it. And I would say that they're not all equal. So
Mm-hmm.
this is not a, like, there isn't just one answer, like, there isn't just one key that fits the whole. I mean, we are just one planet in a massive universe of planets and stars and galaxies, and like, it is limitless and almost overwhelming with how large it is. And it's just quite amazing that we all exist on this little ball that's rotating around this massive ball of fire in the world. And I don't know, sometimes I wonder if this is kind of like a test to like what you will do next after you kind of like complete this test. I don't know. But I would say that to describe this realm and this place that we are in is that there is a huge spectrum of experiences that you can have here. And you can show up with heart, or you can show up with fear and with lack. And so, in order for you to have the best and most fulfilling experience here, I would say show up with an open heart, show up with curiosity and a willingness to learn, and anything is possible.
That's a great answer. And thank you for being a good sport and trying this little
Trying that. I'm
experiment.
not a
Yeah.
scientist. I don't know, but it's, I mean, I mean, that is a question that could possibly be spoken about endlessly.
Uh huh.
And I don't know. How would you describe this well? How would you, I mean, those are hard questions. I don't know.
Yeah. So the idea of these questions is to create situations where people can think about them and unlock and activate things that are might be dormant. I describe this realm of this reality as um, some people have used the word earth school, but I don't really think it's that elementary. I think we live in a multidimensional reality, or we are multidimensional entities having a 3D, so up, down, side, like three-dimensional experience with time being linear time, but in actuality, outside of this constructed experience, it's more than three-dimensional, and it's then time is not linear. But the human machine, body, brain, etc., is only able to computate or understand what it needs to be able to survive in this current reality, and it's temporary, but our essence is non-temporary. But like you said, we could have an entire podcast specifically on that, and then um, the purpose of this as well is for those people that call in and have like really out of this world explanations of this bonus question,
Yeah.
then we can bring them on as a guest in one of our other podcasts and have those conversations and bring forward different ideas of what reality is and what this realm is like. And again, it's simply to help listeners, or if we change the life of one person because they heard
Yeah.
somebody say something a certain way and it resonated with them, like we've done our job. Just one starfish saving off the beach and putting in the ocean, even though there's 1,000, well, you've made the world of difference to that one starfish. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a little bit of a backgrounder on why we're going with this Better Human podcast format.
It's very cool. I mean, and I think that what it does is it asks people questions that I don't know that they think about that often. and it
Yes.
makes you pause and also like decide, who do you want to be in this world? Like, how do you want to show up? What's the
Yes.
difference that you
100%.
want to make, when you are no longer here? How do you want people to remember you? It's
Do you want to exist on purpose, or do you want to exist on autopilot, basically?
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, a lot are on autopilot.
Our job is to make them aware of that, and that they have a choice to not be on autopilot, but to design their reality, because they are in control. They are the co-creators of this realm, of their reality.
Yeah, it's like, wake up, wake up. We only have
Yeah.
this one life. You've been
Wakey,
given this
wakey.
major gift. Exactly. Wakey, wakey.
Dina, it was so awesome to have you. I love your energy. I love your perspective.
Thank you.
Where is the easiest place for people to reach out or connect with you online?
My website, yeah, there is a contact me link on my website. You can always go there, or my Instagram. You can DM me. I go under Dina Berrin. So my website, Dina Berrin, and my Instagram is Dina Berrin. And I'd love to hear from you.
Great. And then before we close, you mentioned that you do like speaking engagements or different events. What is your next event that you're going at? And if you want to plug that.
Well, actually, I mean, I am creating right now a bunch of online classes. Like I just
Oh,
completed something called the Power of Personal Year, and it's a numerology class about learning. Like every year has its energy, has a vibration about it, and to know your personal year energy is to be able to pair with that energy. So instead of being like a fish swimming upstream against the current, you can understand your year so you can swim with the current. So, for example, some years are about turning inward and about learning. They're not about they're like going out and grinding and like, winning, Olympic medals every day kind of thing. Whereas some years are very much about getting out in the world. So, if you knew what type of year you were having, you could organize your life in a way to, turbo gear that and make it happen
become
exactly
in
how you vision.
become in alignment with the forces so that you can be more effective, but you still need to be aware. What is the time frame for you to actually be launching this online training?
I'm actually launching it like literally this week, and it's on my website. It's called Personal Year Power. I can give you the link for it, and you can put it in the show notes if you want. And I'm creating other classes which are like learnings you can do on your own time. They come with workbooks, so you can do all the work, and you can get as much of me as you want because you have unlimited access to it, and you can go back and listen and learn again and again. That's what I have on my docket right now. And but anything that I'm doing, I'm talking about it on Instagram, and I'm talking about it on my website. So sign up for my free newsletter, and it's all in there. I can't wait to hear from you because I'd love to hear what people are hungering for, so I can show up for that also.
Thank you, Dina, for being a light bringer and an earth angel.
Thank you so much, Mark. You are a gift to the world. I really appreciate you.